We have a U.S. senator, I should say, rooting for the enemy of the country he's supposed to represent. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Chris Murphy, fresh off of his tour of trashing America in Spain. He decided, obviously, to celebrate straight up Iranian propaganda.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So what we have here, we have a Democrat senator, Senator Chris Murphy, and what he's been doing recently is literally rooting against this country because, for one, he went overseas to Spain to literally trash talk the president and to trash talk the same country that he's supposed to be representing and protecting. And after he came back to the United States, what he did was even more shocking because he went ahead and started rooting for Iran, which is insane. And this is what you're seeing more and more with the Democrats. They're doing everything except for protecting the American people and looking out for the same country that they're supposed to be serving, which is why we have this tweet to show you of Senator Chris Murphy, because someone in Iran, his name is Ali Vaez. He's pretty much pushing propaganda out of Iran. And he said, at least 26 Iranian shadow fleet vessels bypassed U.S. blockade. Because if you didn't know, the Navy, they instituted a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. We're not letting any ships in or out that's a part of Iran. And this guy is literally lying and spreading propaganda. And Senator Chris Murphy retweeted that and said, awesome. The question that I have, how is this awesome? If the Navy was actually failing, let's say this was true, and the Navy was failing with their blockade, how would this be awesome? How would it be awesome for the Navy or the country? And this is insane. And this guy, Chris Murphy, he was called out to his face by a reporter in regards to this tweet, and take a look at his response. Play clip.
Can we talk to you about that X post you had? I know you sent out a statement saying it was sarcasm, but you're getting a lot of pushback online for that awesome, saying the 26 Iranian shadow fleet vessels got through the U.S. blockade.
Twitter's become kind of a cesspool. I probably should give up on sarcasm on Twitter. Obviously, anybody that's seen anything that I have said about Trump's war knows that I think it's bungled, mismanaged, and he should end it as quickly as possible. But sarcasm is not something, I guess, that's allowed on Twitter any longer.
Do you regret the post? Are you planning on taking it down, or are you going to keep it up?
I guess I just have to be more careful about sarcasm on Twitter.
And just, thank you. Appreciate your time.
That was Senator Chris Murphy being confronted for essentially calling Iran awesome. And what he did, he tried to blame President Trump, saying, well, President Trump started this war. And the question is, how does that justify you tweeting that Iran is awesome? And then he proceeded to say, well, Twitter doesn't have a sense of humor. When Democrats, they're the ones who are always complaining that President Trump isn't serious when he tried to tweet something that's humorous. They're like, it's not professional, it's unprofessional, the president shouldn't act in this way when the president makes humorous tweets. This is to show you that the Democrats are straight up hypocrites. And here we have that video of Chris Murphy where he went overseas to literally talk trash about this country. Play clip.
I want to bring you greetings as well from a nation that is in crisis. I'm not going to sugarcoat the gravity of what we face right now in the United States. This is the most significant threat to American democracy since the Civil War. Donald Trump in our country is trying to end our democracy. We are not on the verge of a totalitarian takeover. We are in the middle of it. He is trying to seize control of our courts, of our law enforcement, of our media, of our elections. His goal is oligarchic capture.
The question that I have is, what is he trying to achieve? This guy is going overseas. He's literally talking crap about the country, spreading lies that the president is an oligarch, that the president is a dictator, that the president is trying to seize power, which is a complete lie. What is he trying to achieve with this? I could understand if he was inside the United States and he's trying to rile up the Democrat voter base, because we know the radical left, you can tell them anything, they'll believe it, and they'll go out there and do some crazy stuff. But to go overseas in front of a foreign nation and to spill all these lies, it just doesn't make sense to me. And here we have a clip of President Trump where he was asked about these people who are rooting against America and rooting for our adversary. Play clip.
Hey, President Trump, did you ever think you would see the Trump derangement syndrome so bad that you got people on Twitter, looks like they're even rooting for Iran?
Yeah, they're sick people. They're sick people, and they're weak people. You know, people that are rooting for, they're weak, ineffective people. They lost. But you put them up in front, put them right in front of me, right here, and they wouldn't open their mouth. They wouldn't open their mouth. They're very weak, ineffective people.
That was President Trump on these people with Trump derangement syndrome, because that is the only explanation as to why these people who were elected by the people to go represent and serve the people would go to a foreign nation to literally talk crap about their own country. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. And the Democrats, they're the only ones that you see doing stuff like this, even though it is an unwritten rule for members of Congress to go overseas and trash talk the country. And here we have a congressman making that very clear. Play clip.
It's particularly when we go overseas, it's kind of an unwritten rule that you don't criticize the sitting president when you're overseas and not on American soil. He obviously violated that. And the leftist government of Spain is really not a friend of the United States. Let's go as far as to say that. They're not allowing us to use the military bases we have there in this operation.
As I mentioned before, this guy, Chris Murphy, the reason why you see him doing this is because he has a strong case of Trump derangement syndrome, which is why you see him and many other Democrats doing stuff like this these days, is because they cannot stand the president. So they're willing to compromise on their love for this country because they hate Donald Trump so much, because they hate President Donald Trump so much, which is why you see them going overseas, trash talking the country, which is why you see them getting on social media, getting on mainstream media, and just talking a load of crap about the country, about the people that they're supposed to be representing. It's only because they have Trump derangement syndrome. It's because they cannot stand the president and what the president is doing to win for the American people and for the country. But this guy, Chris Murphy, I think he has a genuine love for Iran, because a couple of years ago, he was asked about making a deal with the IRGC and he was on board with it 100%. And if you know anything about Iran or their politics, the IRGC is basically the worst group in Iran. They're like the Al-Qaeda's of Iran. And this guy, Chris Murphy, thinks that it's okay to make a deal with them. Play clip.
Would you take the Iran's Revolutionary Guard off the terror list in order to get a deal?
Yes. I mean, the practical impact of designating them as a foreign terrorist organization is inconsequential. We have dozens of other terrorist designations on the IRGC that would remain.
This cannot be real. There's no way this guy's advocating for the IRGC to not be designated as terrorists. Because if you know what happened during Iraq and Afghanistan, is that a lot of the roadside bombs were actually facilitated by the IRGC. And now this guy is saying, well, they don't have to be designated as terrorists, which is insane. And to make matters worse, this guy actually serves on the Foreign Relations Committee, which makes you ask the question, what are the Democrats doing? Because for one, we know that Eric Swalwell, he actually served on an intelligence committee and he had that whole thing going on with the Chinese spy. And this guy thinks that it's okay to make a deal with the IRGC, who are pretty much the worst of the worst. And here we have some people calling for him, Chris Murphy, to be removed from that committee. Play clip.
That was an enthusiastic yes. So excuse me for believing your initial statement over your clarification statement. I'm with Rick Scott here, who said he should be stripped of his assignment to the Foreign Relations Committee now. Yeah, I mean, I think he should have been stripped after trashing America when he went to Spain. At a minimum, he should be expelled from the Senate and charged with treason, I think. I can almost guarantee that's what Democrats would probably do to a Republican. But Republicans in the Senate will probably do nothing because they're a bunch of geriatric status quo bumps on a log.
And that brings us to the end of this video. Please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know what you think in the comment section below in regards to Chris Murphy, these statements that he's been making, and I'll see you in the next one.